What up, YouTube? It's Mr. T at Mr. T Do Numbers. I'm back at it one more time with a new lesson. I'm changing decimals into fractions. All right. Sometimes when you're dealing with a fraction that can't change into a decimal, you're gonna have to change the decimals in the problem into fractions. All right. When you're dealing with thirds, you can't change thirds into decimals, so you're gonna have to change the decimals that's in the problem with thirds to a fraction. All right. So real quick, easy steps, man. To changing decimals into a fraction, you got to think about a fraction. A fraction has parts. A fraction has a numerator, a fraction has a denominator, and a fraction has a whole number if it's a mixed number. All right. And then sometimes you have to reduce fractions. So these steps come with fractions in general. All right. So step one in changing a decimal into a fraction. The numbers to the right of the decimal point is your numerator. Step two, the place value spot of the last number in the decimal, that whatever spot that last number is your denominator. Step three, put the whole number to the left of the fraction. If your decimal has a whole number in it, just like it's to the left of the decimal, it's going to be to the left of the fraction. All right. And step four, you're going to reduce the fraction if necessary. All right. So let's say we have 2 and 7/10. All right. Oh, you know what? 2 and 6/10. Let's say we have 2 and 6/10. And let's say the goal is to change this into a fraction. All right? Well, step one says the numbers to the right of the decimal point is your numerator. Well, what's to the right of the decimal point? The 6. That means the 6 is your numerator. The numerator is the top part of the fraction. All right? Now, step two. The place value spot of the last number is your denominator. Well, the 6 is the last number. The spot that the 6 in is my denominator. The 6 is right behind the decimal point. It's in the 10th place. So that means tenths is my denominator. Oh, I put 6 over 10. All right? Now, step three, put the whole number to the left of the fraction. Well, my whole number is to the left of the decimal, so it has to be to the left of the fraction as well. All right? Now, right here, you say, oh, okay, Mr. T, that makes sense. 2 and 6/10 is equal to 2 and 6/10. All right? It's like Spanish and English, manos and hands. Same thing, right? Just two different languages. Same value, just two different forms. All right? Now from here, reduce if necessary. I can reduce this because I can divide 6 by 2 and I can divide 10 by 2. Mr. Traham, how do you reduce? You find a number that you can divide the top number and the bottom number by. And you divide them, the top and bottom, by that number. It will reduce it. All right? What do you mean, Mr. Traham? Show me an example. Well, 6 divided by 2 and then 10 divided by 2. That'll help you reduce. All right? So 2 and 6 over 10. Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That means 6 over 10 reduces to 3/5. Then you can put the whole number in front of it again. This is the reduced answer. 2 and 3/5. Right? You're only reducing the fraction. You're not touching the whole number. All right? So that's 2 and 6/10, changing from a decimal into a fraction. 2 and 6/10 is the same thing as 2 and 3/5. All right. I'll give you a couple more examples. Let's say you have 3 7/75. All right. And you want to change this decimal into a fraction. All right. Step 1, the numbers to the right of the decimal point is your numerator. To the right of the decimal point, I have 75. It means 75 is my numerator. It's the top part of the fraction. All right. Step 2, the place value spot of the last number is your denominator. Well, the last number is 5. 5 is in the hundredths place value spot. It's the second to the right. That's hundredths. So that place value spot is my denominator. Hundredths is my denominator. All right. Step 3, put the whole number to the left of the fraction. Well, my whole number 3 is to the left of the decimal, so it's going to be to the left of the fraction too. All right. Right here, you say, does it make sense? Yeah. 3 7/75 is equal to 3 7/75, right? Banyo, restroom, right? Same place, 2 different languages, same thing. Now from here, I reduce if necessary, right? Everyone knows that I talk about money, so money is like hundreds. 75 over hundreds, all right? That's like quarters, right? Because 75 cents is 3 quarters. So that means 75 cents can be divided by quarters. So I can divide this by 25, and I can divide 100 by 25. That means I can break it into quarters because 25 cents is a quarter, right? So 75 cents divided by 25, basically, how many quarters is 75 cents? Well, it's 3 quarters. And how many quarters is $1? What's 100 divided by into 25? Well, that's 4. And what that means is 75 cents, 75 over 100 reduces to 3/4. All right? And the whole number stays the same. So again, when you're reducing, you're finding a number that both the top and the bottom number can be divided by, right? This will help reduce that number into a lower version of that number, right? Now, 3/4 is still equivalent to 7/500. You just need a reduced version of your answer, all right? So 3 7/5 as a decimal is 3 3/4 as a fraction, all right? And I'll give you one more. Let's say I have 4 503,000. All right? Well, step 1, put the numbers to the right of the decimal point as your numerator. To the right of the decimal point, I have 503, which means 503 is my numerator. Step 2, the place value spot of the last number is your denominator. So what spot is my last number 3 in? Well, that's tenths, that's hundreds, so this must be thousands. The place value spot is thousands, so that is my denominator, thousands. All right? Step 3, put the whole number to the left of the fraction. Just like the whole number 4 is to the left of the decimal, 4 will be to the left of the fraction. All right? Makes sense, doesn't it? 4 503,000 is equal to 4 503 over 1,000. All right? Now, from here, reduce if necessary. Sometimes you can't reduce because you can't find a number that you can divide into 503 that's going to be divisible by 1,000. Right? I can't divide it by 2 because 503 is not even. I can't divide it by 5 because it don't end in a 5 or a 0. Right? So sometimes you have a number that can't be reduced. If that top number is prime, and if you don't know what prime is, don't worry about it. Look at my video on prime and composite. But if that number is prime, that means it can't be reduced down, right? So 503 cannot be reduced. So that means you leave it at 503 over 1,000. So this is the reduced version of 4 and 503 thousandths. All right. Again, this is Mr. T with your lesson on changing decimals into fractions. Sometimes it's necessary to change the decimal into a fraction to go with the fractions that's already in the problem. All right. Remember, if you have thirds, sixes, ninths, you cannot change those fractions into a decimal. So then you use this method. You change the decimals, the rest of the decimals in the problem, to a fraction. All right. Because ultimately, your answer is going to be in one language, either fractions or decimals. So you got to change anything else that wasn't that into the new form. All right. Again, this is Mr. T. Peace.